Welcome to Explaining the Plays, Fel Relic Demon Hunter. I'm Uncorrupt, and I'm going to be walking us through a few games of this deck. You'll be able to find the deck code in the description. If you don't see it, just make sure you expand that description. Right off the bat, in the mulligan, we're going to be looking for our relic stuff. So we would want Relic Vault, Relic of Extinction, Relic of Phantasms, Relic of Dimensions, and we would probably also keep Sigil of Alacrity. We don't have any of that, so we're actually just going to throw it back. Looks like we're against another Demon Hunter. Most likely we would assume that the list that they're playing is just standard Relic Demon Hunter. But we'll be able to find that out pretty quickly, I think, here in the game. And actually, that is absolutely incorrect. It looks like we're actually just playing against aggro here, so our opponent is going to want to put minions on the board, and then they're going to want to use those minions to do as much damage as possible. So our only choice here is to hero power, and I think I want to go ahead and soften up the Slither Spear. Next turn, I'll be able to Fel Barrage, which will remove the Slither Spear, and then if they played like a Fossil Fanatic or a Battle-Worn Vanguard, I would also be able to remove that. So we do see the Battle-Worn Vanguard. Unfortunately, it looks like our opponent is going to be able to attack with it, which is going to allow them to get two 1/1s on the board, and the 1/1s would actually take up the damage from the Fel Barrage. So we'll see what we draw here. We hit a Chaos Strike, and we're really hoping this isn't the weapon. If this is the Magnifying Glass and our opponent's able to start drawing cards, we're in a tough spot already. But I think what we want to do here is hero power, remove a 1/1, and then Fel Barrage. That'll give us a 1/1, and then we'll remove one of those. At this point, I think we would ideally like to remove the Battle-Worn Vanguard, just because we don't want the additional minions on the board for our opponent to be able to hit us here. So good luck to us on this. And I think we actually got the best one. So again, we're hoping that our opponent just doesn't have that Magnifying Glaive that's going to allow them to draw cards. If they don't, we should be in good shape. We're going to have a couple of options next turn as far as what we want to do. I think ideally we just want to remove the minion from the board and try to get ourselves in a position where we're not taking repeated damage every turn from that minion. So likely a Chaos Strike coming down next turn. Depending on what our opponent does, we could consider dropping the Venomous Scorpid. There may be something there we'd want to discover, for example, like a Relic of Extinction, or potentially another Fel Barrage. But that's kind of a really, really random chance that we don't necessarily want to take. And our opponent actually drops a big-bodied 5/4 on the board, but they're going to be in top deck mode. So we could even just equip the weapon, swing into this, and then next turn we would have Chaos Strike plus the weapon swing to be able to remove this. That's going to use a lot of our healing. Or that's pretty much all of our healing that's in the deck, unless we can discover something that's going to allow us to cast like an Eye Beam. But I think it's actually going to be the play here. So we're removing the Slither Spear, and then we kind of have a plan in place to be able to remove the Bibliomite next turn. We'll be able to Chaos Strike, and we could even hero power just to get just to break even on the health that's going to be lost. That is unfortunately really good top deck for our opponent. And we're unable to play the Predation, so I think we're just going to have to remove this, and we're going to have to allow our opponent to be able to draw Fel spells. So could be in just a little bit of trouble here. Next turn, we likely just want to remove the Fanatic. And we're taking 6 here. So we want to remove this. And the only way that we're going to be able to remove this is just to Predation. And we're going to pass turn, so we're taking a lot of damage here. We're going to have the hero card coming down next turn, but we've taken so much damage in the early part of this game, it feels like it's going to be really hard for us to pull out the win here. And our opponent is continuing to expand their board presence. And again, we just have no more healing available in the deck. Relic of Phantasms. There's really nothing that's going to change this play. This is going to give us as much health as we can possibly get. We're going to make these 2 high priority trades, and then we're going to pass it back to our opponent. So again, we're really just struggling for things to do here. Next turn, we might even just be looking at trying to discover healing in the form of these venomous scorpids. We're kind of at a point that we've stabilized. It's just a matter of, are we going to be able to kill our opponent before they can kill us? And so we're going to just start trying to look for some healing. The good news is we can remove the Sitheno. Here's a Chaos Leech, so we definitely want to take the Chaos Leech, and we can actually play the second Scorpid. And we'll take this. And then we're just going to remove our opponent's board here. So we are at 4. Our opponent definitely has some draws that they could hit that would kill us here. If not, we should be okay to survive at least another turn or 2. I think the weapon would be lethal, Fury, Chaos Strike, the 2 weapons. So there's a lot of cards they could draw here that just end the game on the spot. And we're likely going to have to Chaos Leech our own minion this next turn. If we get the Chaos Leech down, it's going to go in the Jace, but we haven't played a whole lot of Fel spells. We've played 1 Chaos Strike, 1 Fel Barrage. So I think we're going to play... Let's see. We have 7, 13... We only have 13 damage here. So we're going to go ahead and hit... And we'll Chaos Leech here. 1 more Hero Power. Hit here. Then we're going to Hero Power again. And then we're going to get our 2 taunts the following turn. And then we're going to punch face here. So next turn we're going to have 2 taunts pop out. That's going to be really good for us to be able to block incoming damage from our opponents in the form of them just swinging with their face. And we're just hoping that they don't hit things like Predation. Hopefully nothing that's going to deal a lot of damage to our face this turn. There's a multi-strike. And they're going to be taking 5 here. Can we actually just kill them with the Jace? Or do we have to Jace? We may actually have to Jace just for the healing here. So we're going to take this 3, and I think the wisest thing is going to be to play the Jace and just take the healing from the Chaos Leech, even if it hits our Jace or our one of our taunts, or if the Scorpid survives. We just need that extra 3 health to make sure we survive. So that's kind of a common mistake. We want to make sure that we don't set up lethal for our opponent by not playing the cards we have that are actually going to heal us. So we know we have the Chaos Leech. It's going to be replayed by the Jace. We probably just have to Jace Hero Power no matter what the top deck is, just because we're so low on health, and we don't want to lose next turn. Unless our opponent is like doing some kind of a weird roping lethal play. And they actually never made their second attack, which is extremely strange. Unfortunately for them, they may have disconnected. Does this let us kill him? Let's see, that's 5, 7, 9. No, I don't think we ever kill him here. So we're going to do this, and we're just going to play the Jace just like I mentioned. Make sure that we get our healing. And actually, it looks like Jace killed him, so I didn't have the damage counted there. I was really more concerned about dying. I knew we had to play the Jace so we wouldn't die, but with the cards that we had in the Jace, it actually gave us exact lethal. So you can see here, Relic Fel Demon Hunter, we were able to fight off an aggro deck just because of the removal that the Fel spells give us access to. Right back in for another game. This time it looks like our opponent is Priest. Mulligan's going to be the same this time. Again, we are going to keep the Sigil of Alacrity here. We would also be looking for Relic of Extinction, the Relic Vault, Relic of Phantasms, as well as Relic of Dimensions. So we're going to toss those and keep the Alacrity. And Venomous Scorpion, actually a pretty decent pickup for us here if this proves to in fact be the Bless Priest. The Scorpion can actually allow us to remove, you know, maybe a big minion that our opponent is able to stick, like a Radiant Elemental that somehow gets, you know, 10 health in the early turns of the game. I'm sure you've seen it. Venomous Scorpion potentially gives us the ability to be able to fight back against that. Of course, we know our opponent could silence it. We know that our opponent could, you know, maybe kill it. Not totally sure what's going to be in our opponent's deck here, but we do know that they may have ways to be able to deal with it. And I think we actually want to use the Fury and a hero power to remove the minion from the board. Just because we don't want them to be able to drop wigs on this. We can see here that our opponent kept 3 cards. Pretty safe to say that one of these is a wig. I would assume that one of them is probably also a handmaiden. So that tells me that they're going to be drawing a lot of cards. They should be able to buff quite a bit. And it's going to be an uphill game for us. So by removing this, we make sure that they're not able to play a wig this turn. And that means that that's not a spell being played that's going to activate their handmaiden. We see the Pelagos come down here, so we are definitely in just a little bit of trouble. Really, the only option is to get down the Scorpid. We'd like to be able to make that trade. And I believe we take... Guess we just need to start pumping up our relics. We're going to take the Relic of Phantasms. As a general rule, discovering relics on this and the Naga School Teacher is going to be pretty good with this deck. So we see the Radiant Elemental come down. And if they wig the Radiant and the Radiant gets buffed, we pretty much still have to trade for the Pelagos. Because the Pelagos is going to be the most dangerous of these, but unfortunately... they should be able to figure out something here, and they may have actually misplayed this turn, because if they don't buff the Pelagos, then we can trade the Pelagos and the Scorpid stays on the board. If they do buff the Pelagos, then we remove the highest threat minion on the board, so they may have already misplayed this just a little bit. Alright, so they are able to buff 2 minions. But they're also out of cards. And they actually make the trade for us, which I think is a mistake. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to go face there. I have no idea why our opponent would just miss damage. Pretty straightforward turn here. We're just going to Fel Barrage, and we're going to Chaos Strike. We're going to take 6 damage off of this, but we're also going to set it to only 2 health. That's going to hopefully prevent our opponent from being able to buff it up out of range of us being able to kill it next turn, but... we're going to start with the card draw, I guess. Relic of Extinction. So we're going to swing into this and take the least amount of damage that we can here. And then we're going to go ahead and use the Fel Barrage. So next turn, Predation plus Relic of Extinction will hopefully allow us to remove what they have left on the board. We know they have a wig in hand, plus 2 other cards. There is a School Teacher. So Predation definitely removes. Well, not definitely. Predation potentially removes the Radiant Elemental. I think we need to probably start with the Relic of Extinction just to see what it hits. And then we'll be using the Predation after that. Let's see, we could Phantasms, then this is 2 and 2. I'm gonna do this. I guess we do this first. We don't want to hit this twice. Then we're gonna Hero Power. So again, it's just looking like an uphill battle. This is actually a really, really tough matchup for us. We're trying to remove the minions that our opponent's putting on the board. We're trying to remove the threats, and hoping that our opponent doesn't really find themselves in a position to be able to draw a lot of cards here. Next turn, we could just Relic of Dimensions, but at only 2 stacks, it's really not that good yet. We could play both Relic of Phantasms. That's going to give us a board, and it's going to buff our Relic of Dimensions. That might actually be our best play. Kind of depends on the top deck. Pretty sure that this gets buffed. Should definitely get buffed now. They'll play the Wig on this. It goes to a 4/5. So unless we draw something like a Fury or a Chaos Strike to combine with the weapon, we're not going to be able to remove the 4/5, which unfortunately is just going to continue to get bigger. Or I'm sorry, the 5/5. So if we play both of these, it makes this better for next turn. We could play School Teacher and try to find something that's going to help us remove things here, but well, we could go School Teacher, Hero Power to remove this, and then we would want even Relic of Extinction wouldn't clear this. I think we just need to put the most stats on the board we possibly can, which is going to be the 2 relics. And then that also buffs our Relic of Dimensions, but at this point I'm not even sure that we would want to play the Relic of Dimensions at 5 mana. Maybe if we hit a Relic Vault we would consider doing that next turn, but we really just need to be able to address our opponent's board, and their hand is actually just continuing to get bigger. We know they have a Death Rattle minion. Not exactly sure what that is or how impactful that's going to be. We know they have a Wig plus 3 other cards. See a Wig come down. We're going to see an additional Wig come down. And we are taking 8. So we really need to be able to get rid of this 7/9. Boom, boom. We would need 4 damage to be able to kill this. School Teacher would be good. So what's good here? Not School Teacher. Smothering Starfish is good. Second Fel Barrage, I guess, doesn't get there. Feels like our only option is to Relic of Dimensions here. We equip the weapon, Hero Power, hit. Yeah, it looks like we're just dead. Unless we hit something pretty good here. And unfortunately we don't. None of this is going to be good enough, and we're actually just dead on board, so we're going to concede to our opponent here. Unfortunately, matchup just a little bit too tough for this deck. Relic Fel Demon Hunter, definitely a fun deck in the meta. Probably is going to have about the same win rate as the regular Relic version of Demon Hunter, but if you enjoy playing the Fel spells, as I do, it's definitely something fun, a little bit different play style. That's going to do it for the video. I'm Uncorrupt. Thank you for watching.